Just going to find out a little bit of context about what's happening in the town, and especially what it's like to be a woman in Ballymena at the minute. What's been happening, Francis? What's been going on in Ballymena over this last, I suppose, 5-10 years?
Well, you can see a very big difference in the town now from the town that I grew up in. I lived out in the country a wee bit, and so many's a night, Saturday night, we would have walked home easily enough. I wouldn't let any female out of my family walk home anywhere, even round the town now. There's just a very different atmosphere. I don't know how you would even describe it, not when it actually started. I think people started to notice when the buses started to drop off people on a Saturday night, and when you said something back at that stage, people made you out to be, you're talking nonsense and all that there. But I think nowadays we can see that the influx has been so heavy, and the whole makeup of the town is very different. Like, I used to go into the town on a Friday with my mum and, walk around the streets. And recently, any Friday I went into Ballymena, they're coming down the street in droves, and they would run over you on a bicycle, and they would stand in groups, and you're the one that has to get off the pavement. It's like you're a stranger in your own town now.
And this is the migrants that's come into the town.
Yeah,
since 2015. People are saying
you just feel vulnerable.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go to get out of the car to go to a cash machine at night time or anything like that there. I used to park anywhere in the town and walk about. And
of course, what a lot of people are saying, they'll be saying that we're, it's in everyone's imagination, that it's just your perception. Have there been attacks? Obviously, we can't talk about the live case that's going on at the minute, but as well as the alleged attack that sparked all the trouble, has there been other stuff going on in the town that you know about with these people that have come in?
No, you just hear people saying, about different things. Even other towns in Mid and East Antrim. I've talked to people in Carrickfergus. One lady said to me one day, she takes her elderly mother down in the town, and who's in a wheelchair, and she had 2 daughters who were teenagers, and she says, I can't stop them going out. But she says, it scares the living daylights out of me letting them out. And she says, I'm only an ordinary working person, and if I say anything, I'm being blamed for being a racist or far right. This is what, and she doesn't want to be labelled. People don't want to be labelled.
People are terrified of that. I noticed that last night when I was trying to get people to talk to me. They didn't want to go on camera because, one, they knew it was for Tommy. That was the first thing, and the second reason was they were terrified of the implications for them because they didn't want to be called racist. But I mean, I think this particular case has and again, without going into a lot of detail, but what's the background of the family that are involved on, in terms of the alleged attack, the wee girl?
I don't personally know the family myself. I actually thought when I heard about this attack we were still referring to the attack a week ago. I didn't realise, when they started talking about
the attack the week ago was a migrant attack as well.
Yes, the person described fits that description.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
But I thought it had all sort of nothing more had been said about it, and I thought that this was the people they had got for the same attack. I didn't realise it was a second attack.
Yeah. And again, we're going to be very careful. So what we don't want to do is say anything that's going to prejudice anything. So, but from what I can gather, that the family of the girl that was allegedly attacked, it's a mixed race family. So people to level the racism accusation at people that are getting upset about this, it's completely false, because obviously the family are a mixed race family. So it's it's not about race. That's what I'm saying. This is what, whenever the I think it was the PSNI put out a statement, they said this was the violence last night was racist. But what's your take on that when people are saying the violence was racist?
No, I don't think there may have been, because there were people who have been arrested for this here are from a different race. Perhaps that's where they're getting that from. But the majority of the people who were there last night were ordinary working class people from this town who are just fed up, who just wanted to show their solidarity with that family. I personally felt, when I thought about it, about my own father, how he would have felt if he had been standing there. I felt really much for that father last night, because he's there to protect his wife and kids, and he probably feels that that's been challenged. And I thought to myself, how would my own father have dealt with this if that had been me in that situation when I was a teenager? And I think my dad was a very quiet man, and I think he would have killed them if they'd have done that to me.
Absolutely, that's absolutely right. I mean, anyone who harms your children, you know, that's a red line. And I thought that man last night. And again, let's just be honest. He was a black man. The man that was standing there, who the father was a black man, and he was so dignified, and he had such a lot of composure. And the whole protest yesterday, obviously there was violence after it, but the whole protest yesterday, I thought was just amazingly dignified. It was very quiet. There was nobody shouting. There was no aggro at that protest at all yesterday.
That's correct. When we were walking along down Wakehurst, there was two guys actually walking behind me, and two young fellas, and one of them actually said to the other, "This is amazingly quiet." You know, just the whole silence, nearly the whole thing. Nobody was. I think everybody was just there, like they had their own thoughts. I think everybody was really taking it in. I think people are astounded. I think that this has happened in 2 weeks. You know, I think a lot of the people were just lost for words in a way, you know, so everybody was just walking along quietly, I think, with their own thoughts in their head last night.
I totally agree. I thought it was very dignified. And again, obviously that's been eclipsed by the violence that happened subsequently. And I'm not going to comment on the violence. I mean, you know, obviously we've got to say all violence is wrong. But the reality is, what struck me yesterday was the dignity of the people of this town.
Yeah.
At that protest. And I thought it was absolutely amazing to see that. And what, 2,500 people there?
Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal.
No, I say there definitely was like an air about the whole thing. And I say when two young guys walking along just happened to say that, I thought, yeah, they're right. You know, there is like a whole dignified silence about this whole thing tonight.
Yeah.
And when we got back round again, like say, nobody really knew what route things were going to go or where the thing was starting and ending, I suppose, because it was very quickly organised. But it was good that nobody was sort of taking control of it either. Everybody was there on an equal footing.
Yeah.
To stand with the family.
I thought so. I thought it was very dignified, and of course there was a lot of anger, and then there was some trouble afterwards. But you know, again, I think from the point of view of going forward, obviously you're a member of a political party. I don't know if you want to talk about that, but I think politics has to be the solution to this, because otherwise, what happened last night becomes the solution. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's where there seems to be a void there, because I know our local politicians are very much, they've all spoken against this recently, and it's been brought to the attention and so on, but immigration isn't a devolved issue, but we're getting the fallout from it here. Like, people can come in quite freely to Southern Ireland. They're quite free to do that from the rest of the EU, and can cross the border because the British government have let an open border with the European Union, and we're suffering for it.
Absolutely, and the thing is, it's Catholic and Protestant suffering. It's not just you know, Protestant loyalist people. It's everybody is suffering, and I think, you know, that's always what, you know, I think, you know, fair play to Jim Allister. I've spoken to Jim personally about this, and I think he is 100% on board. He believes, as far as I can tell, what we believe. So, you know, let's hope that he can do whatever he can do in Parliament and start lobbying to protect Northern Ireland. Francis, thanks for doing that on camera. Do appreciate it, because I know it's daunting doing that for the sort of first time. So I do appreciate that, and let's hope that we see something positive come out of this.
Okay,
thanks, Francis. Cheers.